Welcome to another episode of the Agents of College Football. I am Agent Orren
And
with my co-host here, Danny.
Yep.
Danny, coming off a rivalry weekend and also Thanksgiving. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was pretty good. It got even better with some good games over the weekend. I can say that
Right?
for sure. Yeah,
It was
definitely one
so
of the
awesome.
best Thanksgiving, my microphone. One of the better rivalry weekends I think we've had. I think usually the past ones have been good. I mean, like we always say that anything can happen on these weekends, but I guess the past ones, we finally got some I guess top five upsets that we haven't seen in a while. I guess on rivalry weekend over the past few years.
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing for me. I mean, I ate so much food. We went out to eat at a local place here that does a Thanksgiving thing, and then we had some family and we made our own turkey. And then I had, 4 days off from work, had some amazing college football games. We had Friday games, Saturday games. Oh, it was just an amazing 4 days off from work with a great weekend of college football also.
Yeah, yeah, I can say that for sure. You had You had like
So
everything in every game.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So in this episode, like we said in our previous episodes, we like to cover a lot of the Texas schools, as many of them as we can, especially our favorite Texas schools. So this episode, we're going to do, a review of this past week in college football, aiming on Texas schools, starting with SMU playing Tulane with a score of 41-38. SMU coming off with a victory.
Yeah. Yeah, their coach is definitely like what's the opposite of on the hot seat? I mean, for other programs. So I think it really showed in this game.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and I'm looking at the stats here. You know, SMU. We all know SMU, right? They can score points. That's kind of their deal. I mean, Chad or the head coach over there, definitely a good offensive mind. And I'm looking at the stats here. Ben Hicks, 24 of 33 for 375 yards and 4 touchdowns. Now he did throw 2 picks, but he did throw for 4 touchdowns. Pretty good stat line there for the quarterback. And Trey Quinn, 6 catches for 139 yards and 2 touchdowns. Pretty good
Yeah.
game from those guys.
I know a little bit about Ben Hicks. He's from Waco. Um, he wasn't that heavily recruited, but once he got that call from A&M, he went over there, and he's been pretty good as a freshman, uh, which was last year, and then this year is his sophomore year, and it looks like he's only progressing from there.
Yeah, definitely. And then we had Houston playing Navy, and Houston coming off with a victory too, 24-14 against a pretty good Navy team.
Yeah, it's really good when you beat Navy. It's really good when you beat Navy by 10 points because they're not a program that really messes around. I mean, it's hard
Yeah,
to catch any mistakes on them on the field.
right. They're definitely not a pushover, that's for sure. So 24-14, I mean, I really think, I know it's Navy and people look at it, oh, it's just Navy, but that's a good win for Houston, I believe. Like you said, winning by 10 points, also good win by Houston.
Yeah.
Next one, we had North Texas and Rice. So we had two of our Texas teams playing, and North Texas, they're going to be playing for their championship game. So kind of wanting to go into that game with some momentum, and pretty decent victory here, 30-14 over Rice. And Rice not really having too good of a season. I believe they've only won one game so far this season.
Yeah, did they have like something going on with their coach? Yeah, they fired David Bailiff, their coach, after 11 seasons.
Wow. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean
I know.
they're not really used to. I don't want to say they're at Rice. They only have one win right now this season,
Hmm.
and so they're not expected to be taken to the championship every year. But you're expected to be respectable at least with a couple of wins.
Right. I mean,
So
Rice doesn't really have championship expectations there at that school, but it still is Texas. It's still a Texas school. It has the Texas spirit, somewhat. And one win and having a season this bad definitely isn't acceptable even for Rice at Rice's standards.
yeah,
And then we had University of Texas El Paso playing UAB. Well, we got a loss here by UT El Paso. They lost this game 7-28. over UAB, and I kind of saw this one coming. I predicted UAB to pull this win off.
Yeah, yeah, they've been emerging ever since they finally got back from what was it, the cancellation of the program
Yeah, their
a few years
program
ago,
was off for about 3 years, I believe.
something like that. I know I remember seeing it in 2014, the game day presentation,
Yeah,
and but yeah, they're back and they're better than ever.
right.
Yeah,
And then UTSA playing Louisiana Tech. They lost this game 6-20, which like I've even said before, UTSA, they're kind of closer to the bottom of the totem pole, for lack of a better term, in the Texas schools. And Louisiana Tech, they put out some NFL talent here and there. Last year
Kenneth
had a
Dixon.
few, right? There's one. And UTSA not really known for putting out much NFL talent.
Yeah,
They
but they barely got there. I think was it last year or the year before? They like had their first player drafted.
Yep, yeah.
Yeah,
And it's still a young program. So anyway, they lost this game 6-20, and then we get more into our Power Five, schools. Going over to the SEC, we had Texas A&M playing versus LSU, and unfortunately, Texas A&M lost this game 45-21 to a pretty strong LSU team.
yeah, yeah. Looking at, I guess before they had similar records, um, but people did not see a blowout loss like this.
Right.
And I mean, obviously, Kevin Sumlin is gone now,
Yeah.
so that's just like one of the. I guess that's just what losing. That's I mean, it's not what losing by 24 to Rice to to LSU
Yeah.
will happen, but given what happened this season and the previous seasons as well.
Yeah. I mean, they've had so much instability this last half, especially this last half of the season. It's just been every week Kevin Sumlin's gone, Kevin Sumlin's gone, and once the boat gets off, that far, and the train gets that far off the tracks, it's so hard. It's even when things are going good, and there's positivity in a program, it's still very hard to keep all your players focused and on that winning track. So with all the negativity that's been going around, and Kevin Sumlin's gone, it's really hard to expect this team to keep pulling off wins, especially in the SEC. So with LSU being as good as they are, and making that comeback, from not having a too good of a start in the season, I think, I saw this coming. I picked LSU to pull this game off, but I didn't expect them to win by this many points.
Yeah, yeah. Ed Orgeron just has really turned around what could be done with that NFL talent on
Yeah.
their defense, on their offense. Danny Edling, he's a Purdue transfer, I believe. He's been pretty, I guess, efficient.
Yes.
He's been good enough.
Yeah.
Hasn't made
He's
too many
been
mistakes.
playing pretty well over there in LSU. So the next game we had was TCU and Baylor, two of our Power Five Big 12 Texas schools. And, I watched most of this game, and man, there in the first half, this was a pretty close game. I believe at the half, the score was 19-22, I believe, at the half.
Yeah, it was 19-21. So still,
19-21.
you came in,
Okay.
you went in the half, thinking, this could actually happen. Baylor could finally upset someone this season.
Mm-hmm.
It started off with a 9-0 with two scores in the first, probably in the first minute and a half. Yeah, yeah, they got a safety, and then the TCU fumbled the kick return, and Baylor just took it in for one play touchdown. And then after that, TCU just covered up their mistakes, and Baylor tried to make the most of what they could. And then it
Yeah.
was all second. And then second half, it was all TCU.
Yeah, and I saw that coming. I mean, when they went into the half, I said, man, Gary Patterson, they're going to make some adjustments, and TCU is going to come out, and I feel like it's going to dominate the second half. And sure enough, that's what happened, putting up 45 points against Baylor. Baylor, like we both said, put up a really good fight in the first half. And actually, there was a fight in this game. I don't know if you saw that brawl that
I
broke
did.
out in the game.
Yeah, yeah. A couple of players got suspended after the Big 12 sorted everything through.
Right. Yeah, I know both teams were flagged. Both teams got penalties
yeah,
in
that's
this
something
game.
that hardly ever happens, I think.
Right.
But yeah, everyone got a sportsmanlike conduct penalty.
Hmm.
And for those who don't know, when you get one of those, if you get a second one, you're out of the game. Uh, but yeah, Baylor put up a fight. They just couldn't pull through. But even this is their last game, obviously, of the season.
Hmm.
But even with that given, in the first last minutes of the game, you could still see that they were still trying to, you know, make a comeback or something.
Right.
So that's good to see. Charlie Brewer, he was really accurate for the most part. He had a really long run that almost went for a touchdown. It ended up turning into a field goal.
Yep, I saw that one.
Yeah, and that was really cool to see because, um, for those that don't know, he comes from the same school that Baker Mayfield, Garrett Gilbert came from.
Yep.
And so, do you see a little bit of Baker Mayfield in him?
I don't know. I don't know if his arm maybe.
I mean, not
I
now
mean,
as a senior, but
it definitely. Yeah, I guess it's. I do. I mean, somewhat. I guess you could say in styles. I mean, we're comparing a true freshman to a fifth year senior in Baker Mayfield. So,
oh
let's
yeah,
see what he looks like next year. But I can see some similarities somewhat in the style maybe.
oh yeah. I'm almost talking about like Mayfield's walk-on year at Texas Tech. It was like, he had some explosiveness, I guess, in his plays.
Right.
But you could tell you could beat him easily, just as long as you got on that side of him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see that in Charlie Brewer too. So hopefully when he can progress on this next season,
Yeah. They
because
definitely have somebody to lean on and somebody to work with over for the next couple of years at Baylor.
yeah, and then but he got hurt in the second half, I guess towards the middle of the fourth quarter, and then Zach Smith came in, and he's good too. I hope. Well, it's up to him whatever he does, but hopefully he doesn't transfer out because he's really good as well. Big arm, accurate as well.
Yeah.
He can get a first down if you need him to, but yeah, really good guy too.
Yep.
Uh,
And then we had Texas, University of Texas, the Longhorns playing Texas Tech, the Red Raiders playing at which is going to be the last home game this season for the University of Texas. Texas already was eligible for a bowl game. They had 6 wins coming into this game, but Texas Tech only had 5 wins and came into this game fighting and clawing, tooth and nail to make it to a bowl game. So definitely an opponent that was going to come into the DKR Stadium and put up a fight to get that 6th win.
yeah, it wasn't just for a 6 win. Cliff Kingsbury's job was probably on the line as well. After the
Right.
game, what's his name? The former the college football playoff, who's also he's also the AD of Texas Tech. They said that Cliff Kingsbury is going to be back for 2018 as well.
Okay.
And what do you think about what did you see in this game that Texas Tech did, or that Texas did wrong
4 turnovers.
for turnovers?
That's, I mean, Tom Herman, I thought, said it perfect in his post game press conference. He said, "This team is not good enough yet to overcome 4 turnovers and still win a football game, even against Texas Tech." And really, a lot of that came in the second half also. They put Texas's defense in a bunch of bad situations. Um, it's like I think about it, if Texas didn't have, arguably the best defense in the Big 12 and didn't have Michael Dixon, that punter, this season could have been a lot worse for Texas. So I don't want to discredit Texas Tech because, Texas Tech came in and played hard, but those 4 turnovers that we committed, one was on a punt. Reggie Hemphill Maps, received the punt. It fell through his hands. Texas Tech got it back on the other side of the field. Sam Ellinger threw a couple just nasty interceptions. We had another fumble that was picked up by Texas Tech, put our defense in some really, really bad field position. And that was the big difference in this game. So, like I said, I don't want to discredit Texas Tech, but Texas really, I think, lost this game more than Texas Tech won this game.
Yeah, Sam Ellinger, he threw I guess what we can call a walk-on interception, right? Walk-off interception.
Yep.
Yeah. Real quick, what do you think of that Texas Tech wide receiver Vasher?
Pretty good.
Do you
Pretty
see
good.
like a little bit of like their next wide receiver, like we had Jakeem Grant, or they had Jakeem Grant, Michael Crabtree, another one in the line?
Yeah, he could probably be their next one. I mean, Texas Tech usually has some pretty good receivers. A lot of speedy receivers, receivers with speed. I wouldn't say Crabtree, is the speed receiver, but that was, a while back. But yeah, I mean, definitely. Is he a sophomore?
I think he's a sophomore. I just remember, I think they said in the Baylor game he was a sophomore.
Right.
And then going just a little bit on Texas, so their running back is transferring, Chris Warren.
Yes, Chris Warren. I mean, we all saw this coming. I mean, he didn't get a lot of playing time this year. Some people, there's been some reports kind of coming out, is his heart, really, really into football? Not maturity, but I guess maybe his dedication to football. And then Daniel Young and Tennille Carter, the two true freshman running backs, when they had their opportunities, they made the most of them. I mean, those two freshman running backs made some amazing plays. And I know Chris Warren, he didn't really get any carries in that second half of the season, but in the first half of the season he did, and he didn't really do a whole lot with them. With his lack of playing time and then them trying to, get him to switch over to the H-back or tight end position. Everybody saw this coming, and I'm not really panicking about it because, like I said, we have two great true freshman running backs, and I've been saying this all season that Daniel Young, the true freshman, is the next great Texas running back. So we'll be perfectly fine at the running back position. So we all saw this coming. A lot of Texas fans did. So, good for him. He's got 1 year of eligibility left. I don't know if he'll transfer to like a junior college and play, because if he transfers to a Power 5 school, he's going to have to sit out a year. So we'll see where he transfers to.
And then also Connor Williams is back,
Connor Williams?
Yeah,
Connor Williams declared for the NFL draft.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to.
So
him and Deshaun Elliott, Malik Jefferson.
Well, I don't know if Malik. Well,
yeah,
it's
they're
come
confirmed
out that they've declared, but Malik Jefferson came out on Twitter yesterday saying that no, I haven't made a decision yet, but the reports are out that he's shopping around for an agent right now. So he's going to go to the NFL. So it's not really confirmed by him, but I mean it is confirmed. And I tell you what, and I think we'll talk a bit more about that stuff in detail.
Yeah.
We're going to have another episode, and I want to talk about Texas's future, because when it comes to a lot of the players leaving, what we currently have on the roster, what we have coming with this next recruiting class, there's just so much to talk about. But man, losing Connor Williams, Malik, Deshaun, even Michael Dixon, the punter, I believe he's considering going to the NFL too. Those would hurt really bad.
Interesting. And going on to was that it?
That wraps it up for our Texas schools. So next we're going to get into our national schools, which coming off from this past weekend was rivalry weekend. So definitely a lot of interesting games to watch. And man, like you said, kind of in our introduction, that it was a wild weekend in rivalry weekend. Anything can happen. Anybody can win. Upsets can happen. And boy, did some upsets happen this past weekend.
Yeah, I think we got to start with like the biggest upset, which was Miami, number 2, falling off to the Pittsburgh Panthers.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I turned this game on. When I turned it on, I didn't get to start watching it until like the end of the third quarter. And I just freaked out. I was like, what? I mean, Pitt, last year, it was Pitt that beat Clemson.
Yeah.
Which Clemson ended up, going on playing the national title game and beating Alabama. But then Pitt this year, beating number 2 Miami, it's like, wow, not really having a great year. But when they get up to the ACC top dogs, they just pull off the upset. And just the look in the faces. I mean, every weekend you've been seeing Miami with the turnover chain and everybody's getting pumped up on the sidelines, a bunch of energy. And I just saw blank stares in the second half from the Miami players.
Did you see that picture of a Pitt player with I guess like their own type of turnover chain? It was like a Pittsburgh Panther chain.
No, no, I
Yeah,
didn't see
that was
that.
really funny to see.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, big loss by Miami. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was, they're like, oh, we're number two, it's Pitt, we're going to play in the championship game, and they just looked over or what. But, their playoff hopes are still alive. They're going to play in the ACC championship game, and they're going to play against Clemson, who I believe came out ranked one in the college
yeah,
football
ranked number
playoff.
one.
So, if they win in the ACC championship game, that's definitely a good win. But I wouldn't say that it would be a lock for them to get in if they're the ACC champion.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens then. Then also we had probably the game. This was the game of the day, or I don't know. You'll decide right now, listeners. Which was Alabama at Auburn. That was 1 versus 6, and that one was pretty good. I don't know, for the first, actually for pretty much the entirety of the game. It was just really good defense, really good offense. But
Yeah.
it's one of those games that you could say just came down to, I guess, execution.
Yep.
Auburn won by 12, 26-14.
Yeah.
But it wasn't close because Alabama couldn't convert a third down to save their life until like the very end.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts, he was missing all over the place. He threw. Did you see that almost touchdown by the tight end that happened?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He threw it to his left, which is something you should never ever do.
Yeah.
And it almost turned into a touchdown, but it was an incompletion on further review.
Yeah.
And then, but their defense was just like locking. Auburn's defense was just locking everything up. Alabama's defense was just so susceptible to Kerryon Johnson, and then Jarrett Stidham coming in, and just their offense is so interesting to watch because it's just so much misdirection. They're all spread out. You got wide receivers behind each other, and then just making screens all over the place so Jarrett Stidham can throw somewhere. And then,
Yeah.
and I don't know. Everything just relies on Kerryon Johnson, Jarrett Stidham just setting everything up. Kerryon Johnson has to get everything going, and then Jarrett Stidham just throws it wherever he wants. And then Kerryon Johnson, even when you have them all figured out, as Alabama thought they did at the goal line, Kerryon Johnson threw a touchdown to one of the other receivers. That was just really interesting to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I forgot who it was that was announcing that game, but he called it right before that happened. He said, "Look, look for the or the fake, run pass. I forgot exactly what they call it, but he called it, and I was like, man, Kerryon Johnson's in taking the direct snap. Even me, as I coach youth football, and I even saw that coming. I was like, man, that's exactly what they're gonna do, and it just surprised me that Alabama was not ready for that. It really, really, really did surprise me that Alabama was not ready for that because they really pride themselves on situational football. And, I kind of want to go back to that last national championship game, against Clemson. Clemson's down there at the goal line, needs a play to win the game, and they run the pick play. It's the inside receiver running to the flat with the outside receiver running a slant, to get the two corners to cross.
Yeah.
And that's something that Clemson has done before in the past, to win games or to score in the red zone. And Alabama was not ready for it. And then you look at this game against Auburn. Auburn's down, at the goal line, needs to score. Kerryon Johnson taking the direct snap, and Alabama just wasn't ready for it. And that just kind of surprises me, with the Nick Saban coach team not being ready for situations like that. And, going back to the Auburn offense, it's like you said, it's so fun to watch. It's a lot of misdirection with RPOs, the run pass option. And when you got players moving around and then you have a run pass option and especially with a quarterback that can execute the run pass option. A quarterback that's smart enough to make those reads and to make those decisions in an RPO. And I think that's the big difference, because Gus Malzahn has been running the system for a while, but just hasn't had the quarterback that can run the RPO as good as Jarrett Stidham. And this offense, there's just not an offense like it in college football. There just isn't. And for Auburn and to beat two number one teams in 3 weeks, and then if they go and beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, I don't see who can beat them. They look amazing right now. And especially if they can play defense as good as they do, play offense like they play offense. I mean, this team is dangerous.
Yeah. And then a little bit on one of their, I guess, unsung heroes. I guess he's finally getting some recognition. Their fullback, I think his name is Chandler Cox.
Yeah.
He's so good too, just setting up everything for screens, whatever it is. You don't see it on the stat line, but he's probably one of the, like, it's definitely Carolina Johnson, Jared Stidham, and him, Chandler Cox, who are like the 3 important roles, I guess, in that offense.
Right, on offense, yeah. And, their running game, even the way they set up their blocks in the running game, it's a lot of pulling linemen, a lot of cross blocking, zone blocking, so there's a lot of open field blocking, which is really difficult to do. And when you have a fullback that can open field block as well as he does, man, it's just everything is working together. I mean, for every type of play they want to run, they have the players to execute it. And that's just what makes them so dangerous right now.
Yeah. And then so later in the game, Carolina Johnson got hurt. I mean, it looked like he was playing hurt for the most part in the fourth quarter. Then he gets hurt again, which wasn't even by contact. He just like fell down. And then the very next play, Cam Martin, he goes in and then he just, I don't know, dings his ankle or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I saw Kerryon fall, I was like, wow, because when a runner just stops and falls down himself, that's never a good sign.
Yeah.
So, first thing in my head was like, oh man, ACL's torn,
yeah.
Something like that. But from the reports I've read, it looks like he might be available for this championship game. But I mean,
he'll be available,
see.
but yeah, we'll see, because he's definitely playing hurt right now. He was definitely playing hurt in that Alabama game. Reports say. So yeah, we'll see on that one right now when we preview it.
Yeah.
And so coming up, we had.
Yeah.
I guess you want to get to the Egg Bowl. That was Mississippi State,
Ole Miss,
Miss.
Mississippi State. Yep.
Yeah. Mississippi State was definitely the better team, or should have been expected to win, but Nick Fitzgerald, he had really nasty dislocated ankle. It looked like his foot was on backwards.
Yeah.
And so either Ole Miss took advantage of that and just, I guess, beat him soundly. So they're Ole Miss finally bowl eligible, but they're not going to be in postseason because of a self-imposed sanction.
Yep. Yeah, too bad.
Yeah. But,
yeah, that Fitzgerald injury looked bad too. I saw it happen, and it happened early in the game, and it was bad enough to where he's had to have surgery. So he's already had the surgery from what I've read. They're saying that he should be available for spring ball, but even besides Fitzgerald, Ole Miss in that game just looked like a better team as well, and I know they shouldn't be. That Mississippi State, came in with more wins, highly, ranked higher, more national credibility and whatnot. But even without Fitzgerald, it looked like Ole Miss wanted the game more. And I don't know if it was because maybe the rumors going around that Dan Mullen's going to be leaving. I don't know if that has something to do with it, but Ole Miss definitely looked like the better team that night.
Yeah. Now, well, I have something to say about this, but yeah, Matt Luke, he's their head coach now for Ole Miss. So
taking it over.
Yeah.
Taking it over. We'll see. We'll see what happens with Ole Miss in the future. They got some more restrictions and sanctions and stuff coming up. So we'll see what happens with Ole Miss in the future.
Yeah.
We had some other games here too. We had
The game.
Clemson and
Oh,
South Carolina.
yeah. I watched this one and I was expecting it to be close, but after the first few minutes, you could tell, oh yeah, this is Clemson's MO, just good defense and running out on offense.
Yeah.
There was not much to see. What's Finley? No, not Finley. I forgot his name. The South Carolina quarterback. He had a bad stat line versus Clemson the year before, and he did not progress by throwing pick six in the first quarter.
Hmm.
And it was just all Clemson that game,
Yeah.
shutting them down.
I
So
know
yeah,
I saw a funny, I think it was a halftime interview with they were talking, I guess there was bottles being thrown at the Clemson players, and Dabo Swinney was pumped up in that halftime interview, just talking about how ridiculous it was, and South Carolinians are better than that, and he's worried about the safety of his players, even threatened to not even take his team back out there on the field because they were throwing bottles at his players. So South Carolina fans definitely upset. I wanted to bring another thing up too. Last year Clemson, obviously we all know they won the national title. And I remember last year, Clemson's offense just looking stagnant at times. Not really, blowing teams out, not really moving very well on offense for weeks and weeks and weeks at a time. And I know me personally, I was asking myself, I was like, man, are they holding back the playbook on purpose, to save it for the playoffs or to save it for championship weekend? And I wonder if they're kind of doing the same thing now, too. It just, last year, Clemson, whenever they got the championship weekend in the playoffs, they looked way better than they did in the regular season.
yeah,
And I just have a feeling that something like that's probably going to happen again. I have a feeling that Clemson is just going to turn the dial up big time and go on a rampage here over the next couple weeks.
yeah, yeah. It seems like so. I mean, they haven't really skipped a beat since the loss to Syracuse, and they have Miami coming up. So Dabo Swinney is just gonna plan for that one. I mean, he doesn't want to get. I mean, Clemson had like decades going between their two national championships,
Yeah,
and they're always that team that's kind of like not a not a blue blood yet, but getting there.
getting there,
Yeah, so starting a dynasty would be something that would just make recruiting effortless.
right? It's
Yeah,
like they're already doing a pretty good job at that too. So
yeah,
if they can even make the playoff, I mean that'll just really put them up there. I mean they're already really there, but making the playoff, at least winning an ACC championship, or imagine if they win a back-to-back national titles. Man, what a career for Dabo Swinney in his 10th year over there at Clemson.
yeah. I never would have thought that he's been there that long, but
Right? And he
yeah,
was the interim coach. He was, receivers coach over there on the team. And usually when it's like the offensive coordinator takes over after the head coach is fired, it usually, for the most part, it doesn't really work out, you know? And this is one of those situations where it definitely did.
yeah,
So, and we had some other pretty good games over the weekend. We had Notre Dame playing Stanford, and Stanford pulling out the victory 38-20 over Notre Dame.
yeah. It seemed like it was all. It seemed like this was a close game, but on Notre Dame's side. And what was that happened? Was it that Stanford forced Brandon Wimbush throw? Um,
Yep. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, he just has not. He needs to develop as a passer. I mean, bottom line, and that's exactly what happened to him in the loss to Miami. I think that game they played against Miami, Stanford saw that and was like, okay, this is what we need to do to beat Notre Dame. And they came out and forced Wimbush to try to beat them through the air. And Wimbush just isn't that player yet to come out and put a team on his back and try to win a game through the air. Just not there yet. And Stanford just executed pretty well. Bryce Love had a pretty good game. Stanford just looked dominant, looked physical, like they always do in this game. So I thought Notre Dame would be able to pull this one off. I definitely didn't see them losing by 18 points.
yeah, yeah. They were leading going to the fourth quarter, I believe.
Yeah.
2017. Then Stanford just turned up the dial.
21 points for Stanford in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Yeah, so they
Wow.
overachieved for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now Notre Dame is going to be a 3-loss team now, and Stanford is a 3-loss team now. So, and Stanford will be playing in the Pac-12 championship game because the next game we're going to go over the Apple Cup, Washington versus Washington State. Washington blowing out the Cougars 41-14. So Washington State was needed to win this game to get into the Pac-12 championship game, but because of that loss and Stanford winning, Stanford will be playing in the Pac-12 championship game now.
Yeah. Washington had nothing to play for but bragging rights in this game.
Pretty much.
And I guess they wanted that more. So, yeah, Luke Fall couldn't do anything.
No, not at all. I
Yeah.
mean, I I thought Washington State was going to be able to win this game. I mean, they played they had a really good season. You know, they had a
Yeah.
pretty good season. But I watched Mike Leach's post game, press conference, and he was just saying that, you know, when everything is going perfect for Washington State, when they have their ones healthy and everything's clicking right, they can beat anybody in the country. But they're not talented enough to where if they make a few errors or maybe they're not clicking, they're only clicking on 7 of the 8 cylinders, to go out and still win a game like some of the other teams do. And if you just look, at Washington and Washington State's recruiting rankings even, Washington gets a lot more talent at that school than Washington State does. So, Washington State just didn't come out and execute perfectly in this game, and it cost them.
Yeah. Yeah. Not. They had a pretty good defense going in too. This is probably Mike Leach's best defense.
Definitely
And
at Washington State for sure.
yeah, and like still couldn't get anything going.
Yeah. Disappointing loss for Mike Leach. So,
Yeah.
but they'll get a pretty good bowl game. And then we had Oklahoma playing West Virginia, and Oklahoma putting up points like Oklahoma usually does. But man, this weekend they put up 59 points against West Virginia's 31 points.
Yeah. They could have won with what's his name, Kyler Murray in there.
Yeah,
But
Kyler Murray, the 5-star, 3-time Texas State champion quarterback. I remember watching him play a lot in high school. He was a 5-star recruit. Originally went to A&M, transferred out of there, when Kyle Allen transferred out also, and transferred to Oklahoma. And he's going to be the starter next year, most likely, for Oklahoma. So we got the start this weekend because of Baker Mayfield's antics that he had in the game against Kansas the week before. Had to sit down, wasn't a captain in this game.
yeah,
So
because of that, they had to bring out Baker Mayfield's jersey to the handshake in the middle of the field.
yeah,
Yeah, and then Kyler Murray stepped in for him for a few series, and then they revived Baker Mayfield, and he led them to victory.
yeah,
It was never in doubt at all.
no, he lit it up. So 59 points, man, impressive. And let's see here. Oh, one of the really good ones too. This is one that I was really interested in was South Florida playing UCF.
Oh yeah,
And this one also, if you like points, this was a game for you. UCF pulling off the victory, 21 points in the fourth quarter to come and win this game, and they won it 49-42 over Charlie Strong's South Florida Bulls.
yeah. This was a really good game. We saw in the first quarter, both quarterbacks looked flawless. They were just trading touchdowns. Quinn Flowers is really good, and I
Yeah,
think
he
he
is.
was probably the better quarterback here, but UCF had the better team.
Definitely.
Yeah, and yeah, they just I don't know. It all came down to I thought it would come down to who had the ball last, but you I think they tied it up at the end. USF, then UCF returned it back for a touchdown. Then USF got a 2-point conversion to tie it up. UCF turned it into a touchdown, turned the kickoff into a touchdown,
Hmm.
and then USF just fumbled it and threw the game away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a big upset. I mean, not upset, but just disappointing for USF. Finishing the season with only 2 losses, or 9-2. UCF remaining undefeated.
Yeah. What do you think of this UCF team? They have that linebacker, Shaquem Griffin. He's a brother of Shaquille Griffin. He's a cornerback for the Seahawks. He's really good, but the whole team is just really solid too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're a pretty solid football team. Collectively, they're pretty good. I mean, they play really good on offense. Obviously, they have a good system going over there. But they can play, pretty good defense, good enough defense. But when you have an offense as potent as them, you really don't need to play great defense. You just got to play decent defense.
Yeah. Yeah. And they beat Memphis this upcoming weekend. I don't think they'll ever get into the playoff, but they do deserve to, I guess, go up against Alabama or whoever. I want to see them go up against an Alabama or Ohio State, whoever gets left out.
Right. In like a January 6th, bowl game, one of the good bowl games. If they remain undefeated, they should get in one of the good bowl games, and that would be really interesting to see them play, a really respectable Power Five school. That would be really, really interesting to watch.
Yeah.
That game, Memphis, and we're gonna, we'll have a preview, but UCF and Memphis, man, that's gonna be an exciting one.
Yeah.
We had another, big one, man, and we haven't even talked about this one yet, and this is probably, arguably, there with the Iron Bowl and whatnot, but Michigan and Ohio State, and Ohio State pulling off the victory, 31-20 over Michigan. I thought Ohio State would win this game. I thought Michigan would play a little bit better on defense. I thought, they would hold Ohio State to at least under 30 points in this game. But Ohio State, trying to add style points, I guess you could say. They're stuck with their 2 losses, but they're trying to put in style points, I guess people like to call it. JT Barrett had that weird injury in the game from the cameraman.
Yeah.
And, the other quarterback came in and played pretty well. Yeah, Tony Haskins. He's the future there at Ohio State, and he looked pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. Michigan had it for a little bit, but I don't know. They need a better quarterback. That's the best I can say.
Yeah, Spate, I think, already came out. He has 1 year of eligibility left. Or no, he's graduating. I'm sorry, he's graduating. And he has a year of eligibility left, so he's going to be transferring out. And they had another.
It wasn't John O'Corn that was playing, though?
Yes, but I'm not sure if it's O'Corn, but they have another quarterback there at Michigan. 2 quarterbacks are going to be transferring.
Alex Malzahn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to be transferring out. So, but yeah, it's like you said. I mean, Michigan, I believe the score was 21-20 going into the 4th quarter. Yes. And then Ohio State scored 10 unanswered points in the 4th quarter to win 31-20.
Yeah.
So Ohio State, they're going to get to play in the Big Ten championship game. And, they have somewhat of a chance to get into the playoff, but I believe it's very small. I mean, I think for them to have a chance, they'd have to come in and blow out Wisconsin, I think, to have a chance to make it to the playoff. And then they would need some teams to lose.
Yeah. And then also in this game, they looked a little inept in offense, especially in the 1st quarter. They had like -6 yards, I think, of offense, and then they turned it around in the 2nd quarter. But
yeah, started slow.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't really see. I mean, I can see them beating Wisconsin, but I don't know if I see them making the playoff with just what they have right now.
Right.
So I don't
Definitely.
know. I don't know. It's too much question marks on offense.
Yeah.
But we'll see what JT Barrett does, or Dwayne Haskins, whoever's playing. I think it should be JT Barrett.
Yeah, I think he's going to be healthy enough to play. So, I mean, I think that pretty much wraps it up for a lot of the national games that we wanted to talk about. Unless there's one that I'm missing. Is there something that you wanted to add on?
Yeah, we had Iowa State losing by 1 point to Kansas State.
Yeah. Kansas State finishing off the season strong, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they beat Oklahoma State, a few weeks ago or a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then beating Iowa State. So finishing off the season, kind of strong.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of their MO every year, just starting off season slow, then oh, wait for us next year. We'll be contending for a national title.
Yeah.
Yeah. Iowa State, I guess they had a disappointing end to how the season started, and a lot of people blame the refs in this game for calling weird pass interference, and then Kansas State winning it at the last second.
Yeah.
But yeah, Iowa State should be better next year. But finally, they go to a bowl since 2012 or 2013, I think,
Yeah.
and hopefully they have a good showing and build on what they got this year.
Definitely. Matt Campbell, good coach.
Yeah.
Was there any other games you wanted to add?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think we pretty much
I mean, I
went
guess
over.
Oregon State. That one was just fun to watch because Oregon had a 9-point win over Oregon State.
Yeah, I
Um,
didn't get to watch that one.
yeah, just seeing what could be if maybe just. I mean, the quarterback isn't. It's just one player of the team, but just Herbert's just a really good quarterback.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
Yeah,
he is.
and this could have been a different year for Oregon, maybe.
I know.
Yeah.
Big
Uh,
time. Yeah, that definitely hurt them.
yeah, but going off, we got a new coach in Will Taggart into our next segment on coaching rumors. Do you want to get into that?
Yeah, definitely. There's, a lot of stuff to talk about when it comes to the coaches. So I know, Taggart, he's been, you know, I, I think Oregon is kind of worried that some teams are targeting him
Yeah.
and already trying to take him away after only 1 year at Oregon.
Hold on, Taggart. There's rumors that he might be going to FSU, and the reason why he might be going to FSU is because people say that A&M might want Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
there's not even really a question if A&M wants Jimbo Fisher. They want Jimbo Fisher, but
Yeah.
it's just a matter, right? Like if Jimbo Fisher is going to want to leave Florida State, and I've been reading quite a few articles on this because I am not in panic mode, but I do not want Jimbo Fisher to go to Texas A&M because I'm a Longhorns fan. Um, but I wonder if that had a lot to do with Florida State, having such a bad year, right? Because it's like this is a third year in a row where it's rumored and even reports coming out that it's confirmed that Jimbo Fisher is going to be leaving Florida State to go to, and then last year it was LSU.
Yeah.
This year it's Texas A&M, and I just wonder if the players are like, man, is he committed to us or not? So I don't know. What do you think? You think Jimbo Fisher is going to leave to go to A&M?
Really, I don't know. People say that it's because he wants to be reunited with. I mean, not reunited, but working again with their athletic director. So I guess good working relationship. Maybe I don't know. He feels some kind of work stress environment over there at FSU.
Right. Not only that,
Like,
but I think it could be, the clock resets, right? Because, they have a bad year this year, right, in Florida State. As
mm-hmm.
good as Jimbo Fisher is, if he has another bad year, I don't see Florida State hanging on to him, with having 2 consecutive bad years. So really, he only has, one mulligan in his pocket if he's over there at Florida State versus if he goes to Texas A&M, it's a clean slate. So if he has a couple of bad years, it's, he's starting the program, rebuilding the program, blah, blah, blah. So that could probably take some stress off of him. I mean, that could be one of the reasons why I'd say that he'd want to go to A&M. But I don't know. He's built something good over there at Florida State. So I'm hoping he stays at Florida State.
Yeah, but that was one of the rumors that just kind of came out of, I guess for me, out of left field. Um,
I think
yeah,
as long as
because
Jimbo Fisher's at Florida State and any SEC school opening comes up, Jimbo Fisher's going to be rumored for it.
yeah, yeah, just perpetual rumors. But I guess for A&M, a lot of people have seen Frank Wilson and Chad Morris as candidates for them, especially Chad Morris because he's from A&M.
Yeah, I mean, he's also a high school football coaching legend as well, too. I mean, I think that would be a good hire in of itself right there. I mean, he is connected with a lot of the Texas high schools. He's recruited this area. He knows this area well. I think if they can't get Jimbo Fisher, I think Chad Morris would be, I know it would be their second choice, but I think that's a really good second choice, picking up Chad Morris if he does want to leave and go to Texas A&M.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he had that really good offense at Clemson, before they went on their title run.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I don't see any drop off if they go from Kevin Sumlin to Chad Morris, because I guess they want to spark something into their offense, because overall, if you've seen Texas A&M these past few years, they haven't looked the same since Johnny Manziel was on there. You see a little bit
Yeah.
with Kellen Mond and a little bit with what Trevor Knight had going maybe in the beginning of the last season, but
Yeah, or Kenny Hill's first few weeks
yeah,
when he was there. But, man, I think that's just one of those things too. It's like they had Johnny Manziel when they went to the SEC and they beat Alabama, and it's because they had Johnny Manziel. And college football players, it's not every year that you get a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. And I think when they moved over to the SEC and beat Alabama and had so much success in that first couple years of Johnny Manziel, now their expectations are just sky high. And they're eager to feel that sensation again that they had, 4 or 5 years ago, and they want it so bad. And I think that's why they're going after Jimbo Fisher so hard, to try to make that big splash. Hey, we got a national contending coach at Texas A&M. We're relevant. We're on the national level again because we have Jimbo Fisher.
yeah, yeah. And A&M, they've been underachieving as well with their talent, because every year it seems like that one or two players get selected in the first round
Yeah.
of the draft.
And they do pretty well in recruiting. They usually have, they're like in the top 10 of recruiting, at least the top 15. So they do get some of the in-state talent. So
Yeah,
it has been disappointing there for sure. And I know another one of the big ones, Chip Kelly going to UCLA.
yeah,
And I've read, quite a few articles on this. I followed this one pretty close. Chip Kelly had a choice between Florida and UCLA. And, I was kind of debating with some friends of mine, here. And, a lot of people were saying, oh, he's going to Florida. Florida has more of a winning tradition and more resources. And I'm just like, dude, Chip Kelly is not a Southern guy at all. I mean, I think that is a
no,
horrible. Um, he just would not fit in at Florida at all. I thought for sure, to me, it was an easy choice. Like, he's going to UCLA. I saw it coming.
yeah, yeah. He's familiar with everything there. I mean, even when he was playing with the 49ers, he was just picking out guys from Oregon, from the Pac-12.
Yeah, I mean, he's like you said, he's been in the Pac-12 before. He's recruited the California and West Coast area, so he has some familiarity with there, some recruiting roots there as well. So to me, I thought it was easy, and not only that, but he's still getting paid by the Eagles,
Oh,
and he's still
wow.
getting paid by the 49ers. So the guy is loaded with money. So I just think for him to go to a place where he felt like is going to be difficult for him to win or to start something in Florida over a couple $1 million. Yeah, and I read that in an article. Chip Kelly, he said that money wasn't everything. He wanted to be comfortable somewhere. He wanted to fit in somewhere. He didn't need a place to go to with all the best facilities and all the money in the world. He wanted a place that he could fit in, and UCLA was a better fit.
Yeah, yeah. And then just looking like how much do you get for how much of a leash do you give him at UF? I mean, going 7-5 for 3 years at UF gets you out. Going
Yeah,
7-5 at UCLA for 3 years will get you an extension, probably with how they've been going.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah. So good hire. I mean, and it happened fast too. There's still a lot of teams out there right now fighting and clawing, trying to get coaches, and UCLA, they got their guy.
yeah. And then who almost got their guy? Tennessee.
Greg Schiano, man, I was laughing so hard. I was like, Greg Schiano, come on. I
Yeah,
think all the Tennessee fans felt the same way. There was a riots at the campus, I believe, or somewhere over there, or protest or something going on to get Greg Schiano out of there.
yeah. We've seen it before. I mean, with announcements of college football coaches, it'll be rumored for a little bit. Like take Tom Herman last year. Everyone's just talking about how it's either between Texas or LSU for him. and there was just secret meetings, not secret, but
Yeah.
they were openly secret that Texas was going after him hard, and because these rumors are out there, no one really had a problem with it. I mean, people wanted Charlie Strong gone for sure, but
Yeah.
no one, if there was some reason why they wouldn't want him there, they they would have heard the student body or the boosters loud and clear, right?
Yeah.
Well, here it seems like the AD really messed up and just trying to get the deal done.
Yeah.
Uh, and I was hearing, did you hear Championship Drive talking about it in the recent
No, I didn't.
episode? Yeah, they were just talking about how it seems like at this point they'll be getting Jeff Braun for 20 million a year, just on like how they've been like botching these deals. Now with Mike Gundy, they met with him last week and they said Peyton Manning had they got Peyton Manning to like interview him over the phone.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, they really need a head coach, and who knows who it could be. But I mean, now what Alabama's been doing, you got to at least get maybe second or third place in the SEC just to be good at Tennessee.
Yeah.
And what Butch Jones did, he was getting a good classes,
Yeah, he
and
was.
this should translate
Recruiting
into
really well.
wins, but it didn't.
Yeah.
They went 0-8 in his SEC this year, so they need
It's
someone that can just like build a good 7-5 year and then just roll from there. But who that is, I don't know.
yeah, it's hard to see, who it is that's out there right now. I mean, there's, in college football, there's so many teams, right? I mean, there's 132, teams. And, we'll just say, and I don't know, what you want to consider blue bloods, but, there might be 10 blue bloods or so. And then there's 25 other teams that think they're blue bloods. And, so let's just say there's, 40 schools that think they should win a national title every year. And, in the NFL, there's 32 teams. And it's really hard to find a coach to make your NFL team competitive against 31 other teams. But in college football, there's so many teams and there's so many choices for these coaches, and there's only so many good coaches. And when every college team thinks they should win a national championship, it's very hard. It's really, really hard in college football. And it's really hard to get your coach. And it's really hard to pull coaches from other schools. It seems like right now, that's kind of the way to do it. There's maybe 6 or 7 coaches out there that have proven they can win a national championship. And are you going to outbid them and pull them from their school, to bring them to your school? Or are you going to find that young and upcoming, hot coach? And there's not that many of those out there either. And I just think, in the SEC, it's very hard. And at Tennessee, I think it's very hard also.
Yeah,
So I
let's
don't
hold
know. I feel bad for Tennessee fans.
let's hold Tennessee in our mind for a little bit after we're done with this, just so we can play a little bit of coaching musical chairs,
Okay.
just see what happens.
All right.
But and then speaking of poaching coaches, Florida got Dan Mullen from
Yeah.
Mississippi State.
They got their guy.
Yeah,
What surprised me was that Chip Kelly was their first option over Dan Mullen. To me, I think, what is Florida thinking? I mean, Chip Kelly, just like I said before, is not a fit at all for Florida. And they were desperate. It's like I think you've even said it before in our last episode that Florida just wants to win. They want to play offense, so that's why they wanted to bring Chip Kelly in, and they would put up with kind of the way he is to get that offense and to get those wins. But I just think Dan Mullen was a better hire than Chip Kelly, for sure. I think Dan Mullen was a pretty good hire, if you ask me.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he does he have a connection to Florida? He was the offensive coordinator for Urban Meyer, right?
Yes, offensive coordinator, won 2 national championships there at Florida.
Yeah, yeah. So it makes sense. And then he had a long stay at Mississippi State, and what he's done at Mississippi State has been really good. Given that they're, I guess, a little brother school to Ole Miss.
Right. And he's going to have more talent there at Florida.
Yeah, for sure. So
And he's got Franks there, which is a young quarterback who I think's got some talent. I think Dan Mullen can polish him into something.
Yeah, big arm.
Right. So he's going to have more talent at Florida. So I think it's a pretty good fit. I think he'll get Florida turned around. I think it's a really good hire.
Yeah. And then, now, and he's bringing over his defensive coordinator from Mississippi State. And then Mississippi State, they got their own coaching problems figured out before Tennessee.
Right.
Yeah. And that was Jim Moorhead, the Penn State offensive coordinator. How do you feel about this hire?
I mean, pretty good hire. I mean, has played some pretty good offense there.
Yeah.
And a lot of the schools, especially in the SEC, I feel like, in the South, they can recruit good defensive players, and almost everybody in the SEC can play defense. It's all about who in the SEC can play offense. So it doesn't really surprise me that they go after an offensive-minded coach.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what he's done at Penn State, like basically with an okay line, but he still had Saquon Barkley, being a probably top 10 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
And then him almost winning the Heisman, or he's almost winning the Heisman.
He was in contention there for a while, but
yeah,
like I said before, man, coming to the SEC is tough, really tough. Every single team in the SEC expects to win national titles, it seems like. So good luck to him, for sure.
Yeah. Then who else do we have? I guess this one's pretty
Nebraska,
recent.
they got rid of Mike Riley.
Yeah.
And I know Frost, over there at UCF, he's been rumored around this job a lot. And I think now with Dan Mullen, he was rumored for the Florida job also. So I think now with Dan Mullen going to Florida, it seems like that's kind of where it's headed, right? Frost probably going to be going to Nebraska.
Yeah. I mean, he's from there. It's like Tom Herman last season. Everybody wanted him to go to LSU or wherever else was open, but it's obvious where he's going.
Yeah, and I just think Nebraska. I think them leaving the Big 12 wasn't a good decision. Maybe financially it was for them, but recruiting wise, I don't think it was a very good decision. I mean, in Nebraska, you don't get a whole lot of in-state talent. Even in the states, nearly surrounding them, you don't really get a whole lot of talent. When they were in the Big 12, they were able to get some of those Texas kids, some of those Southern kids, and then whatever, talent they had that was, within maybe 100 to 200 miles of them or so. But now that they're in the Big 10, I think that just hurt them because they don't get to play a lot of those Texas schools. I don't know. Nebraska is going to be a really hard job, I think, especially for recruiting. It's going to be hard to recruit there, and when it's very hard to recruit, it's very hard to win.
Yeah. Then we actually had some hires also before the show started, and there's rumors. Well, it looks like it's, the president needs to confirm it, but Herm Edwards at Arizona State.
Oh, okay. All right. Herm Edwards at Arizona State.
Yeah, it looks like it's all but confirmed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good deal. I know I read some reports that Mac Brown was interested in that job at Arizona State. I was like, no, Mac Brown is a lifetime Longhorn. He cannot get any other jobs. He's going nowhere. So I'm glad they didn't pick him up.
Yeah, and Kevin Sumlin, they said that there were rumors that he was going to be interviewing for this job, but if it's Herm Edwards, it's going to look interesting. I mean, because I don't know, he hasn't coached for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens over there at Arizona State.
And then Oregon State, they got their own head coach. Figured out they're getting the Washington offense coordinator, and that is Jonathan Smith.
Yeah, I mean, pretty good. You need somebody that can recruit that area, that knows that area pretty well. Knows the Pac-12, so.
And he was a quarterback like in 1988, so.
Yeah.
It's always nice to have someone. Hire. Yeah, it's always nice to have someone like who's from there, because like Mike Gundy, he was a quarterback a long time ago for Oklahoma State. It looks like nothing's getting him out of Oklahoma State.
Yeah, he's got a good thing rolling there. He's comfortable there, I think. He wins. He doesn't compete. He's in national relevance. It seems like every year. He's gotten them to that point. They're not really a powerhouse, but Oklahoma State doesn't really have that national championship every year expectation. So I don't know. I think Mike Gundy is making enough money there. He's comfortable there. from there. I don't know. He's going to be there for a long time.
Yeah, there was actually rumors that he met with Tennessee because he's not because he wants a pay raise, but because he wants the athletic director at Oklahoma State out. So
Ah,
that's interesting strategy.
yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
yeah,
who
I
else?
think
Who else do we have? So far, it looks like Tennessee hasn't figured out their head coaching hire.
nope,
Do we have anyone else that's fired? I don't think so.
nope.
No.
I think that's pretty much it for now as far as kind of the big headlines as far
Yeah.
as coaching goes.
So who do you see going
So,
for the Tennessee job? Just seeing where the chips may fall. It looks like Scott Frost going to Nebraska.
yeah, I don't know.
Oh, and in
I just,
Arkansas, they fired Brett Bielema.
yeah. So they need a coach too. I don't know, man. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I mean, they're definite. Number one and number two options are off the table. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what both of those schools do to fill those head coaching jobs.
Yeah. It looks like I don't know. What I think they should do is like go after one of the Texas G5 coaches. So that's Seth Littrell, Chad Morris.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that could happen. That
No.
could happen. Who knows? We're
Yeah.
probably going to be surprised whenever we see what those schools do.
Peyton Manning as the next head coach. Let's see.
Right? I
Yeah.
know. Peyton Manning. Yeah, Peyton Manning is the head coach at Tennessee. There was even rumors of Jason Witten had to come out and make a statement that
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
he's
That's
staying with
right.
the Dallas Cowboys, that he's not going to go coach Tennessee. I was like, man, poor Tennessee. They're trying to just put the rumors out there so that their fans know that they're trying to get a big name. They're trying to get somebody.
Yeah.
They're desperate.
Yeah. Because ultimately, it just comes down to do we get people? I mean, it does come down to winning titles, but it's also about trying to get their attendance up in the stadiums.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw like a lot of interesting deals going on for Tennessee tickets.
Yeah.
I heard that you could buy Dr. Pepper, get a Tennessee ticket, something like that.
Oh man,
Yeah.
poor Tennessee. I feel bad for them, but we'll see what happens with them.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much wraps it up when it comes to the coaching carousel that's going on right now.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about the playoffs?
Yes, college football playoff rankings came out. So I guess this will help us lead into, championship weekend because championship weekend is going to have some effects on the rankings, obviously. Clemson at number one, Auburn at two, Oklahoma three, Wisconsin at four. And then sitting right outside, we had Alabama at five, Georgia at six, Miami at seven, Ohio State at eight. What was interesting to me was them putting Alabama at five.
Yeah.
And to me, what that tells me is that they're wanting to put Alabama in
Yeah.
still. It's like
Exactly.
if Wisconsin loses their championship game, there's a slot for Alabama. If Oklahoma loses their championship game, there's a slot for Alabama. So because no matter what, it didn't matter if Georgia was ranked eighth. If Georgia wins their SEC championship game, they're in.
Yeah.
Um, so it's going to be interesting if Miami beats Clemson. Let's say Oklahoma and Wisconsin both lose their championship games.
Mhm.
That's going to make two openings. Those teams would be out, and the Big Ten as a whole would probably be out. I don't know. I just thought them putting Alabama there at five was interesting. I thought that Miami had a better schedule than Alabama
Yeah.
with only one loss, and Georgia had a better schedule with only one loss. So I think Alabama being there at five was just because they're Alabama, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. They're getting the benefit of the doubt, I guess, because Miami hasn't beat anyone with a winning record or except Notre Dame. I think that's like the logic they gave behind the ranking.
Right.
Um, so yeah, if Auburn wins, they can say, oh well, Alabama just their only losses to the SEC champion,
Yeah.
and
I just, man, do you see them putting in, two SEC schools?
I feel like it's possible, but I don't know. I think I think the Big Ten champion has to win with like, so Wisconsin wins, I think they're in. But I think Ohio State has to win, but with like no doubt that they're going to win. Like
Yeah,
more than a touchdown.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't see that happening against Wisconsin either. I think Wisconsin's defense is too good. I think Wisconsin is going to pull this one off. I think Wisconsin's going to win that game against Ohio State, to be honest. I mean, I think for Alabama to get in, because if Clemson wins, they're in. And I think if Miami wins, I think the ACC champion's going to get in.
Yeah.
If Miami wins, they beat the number one team in Clemson in the championship game, and then they beat Notre Dame, which was ranked, I think, 3 at the time in the college football playoff when Miami won that game.
Mm-hmm.
So those are good wins while Alabama's sitting at home. So the ACC champion is in. The SEC champion is in, whether that be Georgia or Auburn.
Yeah.
So there's 2 slots right there, I think, that are a lock. No matter who wins, the ACC champion, the SEC champion.
So it's just the Big 12 and the Big 10.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think Alabama's chance to get in is going to be, I think Wisconsin and Oklahoma both, would
have
need
to lose.
Yeah, definitely. So interesting in the rankings. I thought that was interesting, them putting them there at 5. I think that was kind of a statement, putting them there at 5. So, and then we'll get into it. Championship weekend. I guess we can start off right there in the SEC. We got Auburn, which is currently ranked 2, playing 6th ranked Georgia. And to me, like I said, Auburn is very good. I think right now, I think they're the best team in college football right now, to be honest with you. I do. It's just really hard to beat the same team twice, especially when it's Georgia. I just think that's going to be very, very, very hard to do. And that's why I said earlier in the podcast that if Auburn pulls this off and beats Georgia, I see them rolling all the way to the end and winning it all. So, but this is going to be a good game. I mean, Georgia is just grinding at the bit to get back at Auburn. And Auburn right now is just on a roll. This game is going to be huge. I cannot wait to watch this game.
Yeah. So, what do you think happens? Do you think it's a bigger margin defeat for Georgia, or do you think they pull this one off?
Do I think Auburn pulls it off?
Yeah.
I think Auburn pulls it off. I just, like I said before, they play good defense, and their offense is just clicking on all cylinders right now. The offense is very hard to stop. They are not one-dimensional at all. And I just think Georgia, if you shut down the running game and you force, them to throw the ball to throw the ball and try to win it with his arm, I just don't think he's ready for that yet. And there's a recipe to beat Georgia. And right now, I think when Auburn had their losses, I think Auburn beat Auburn. I don't think anybody has really shown the recipe to beat Auburn. So, especially if Kerryon Johnson's healthy, I can't see it happening. I can see it happening. Georgia's really good. I can see it happening. I just don't know what necessarily the recipe would be. I mean, Georgia's just going to have to come out and dominate on defense to win this game.
Yeah. So, right now it looks like, just looking at injury, I guess what looks like an injury report, Cam Martin should be back. He was the running back that was injured on like the very next play after Kerryon Johnson.
Yeah.
Johnson should be back, but they said it's just a shoulder issue.
Okay.
So, but I still don't think he's going to be playing at like 100%.
No, I don't think so either.
So if he's out early, what do you see happening? Let's say he's out early and the score is like 73 Auburn. What do you think happens?
I think Auburn can still win it.
Okay.
I mean, because Martin's still pretty good. Stidham's on fire. And then it all depends on how Auburn's playing on defense too. But I think Auburn's going to win this game. I really do. I think Auburn is going to win this game.
Okay, interesting. I see like a 30-20 score in Auburn.
30-20 Auburn?
Yeah.
I could see that. I could see that happening. Both these teams can play offense too. It's not like these teams don't score points. I mean, Georgia, they had their loss and they didn't score a lot, but Georgia's been scoring 40-something points, it seems like, every week too. So Georgia can put up points also.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Gus Malzahn, he still has some tricks in his bag. Just
Oh
waiting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think so too.
I expect I don't know. I'm calling a double class on the first play.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're gonna do something. They want to get started off hot. So definitely, man, that's gonna be the one that I really want to watch really bad. And then we got the ACC championship game, which huge game.
Yeah.
Clemson and Miami. Um, Clemson, as of right now, has a pretty decent resume. Miami doesn't, and I think that's why them as a one-loss team is ranked at 7 behind some of the other one-loss teams, even a 2-loss Auburn. But Miami, I think whoever wins this game is in, like I've said before.
Yeah.
Whoever wins this game, I think, is in the playoff. I just think Clemson has been holding some stuff in their pocket. I think they've been kind of holding back a little bit on the playbook or whatnot. I think Clemson plays better defense than Miami does. I know Miami's got the turnover chain, but I don't know. I think Clemson's going to really bring it in this game, and I'm going to pick Clemson to win this game.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know, because it seems like these teams both have the same strategy. Just I want to say hide their quarterback, but play good defense and just try to get a first down on offense.
Right? Move the chains.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
I
they're
don't.
not as explosive as like an Auburn or maybe or like a Oklahoma and whatnot. Definitely.
Except Miami's defense can actually score. I think. I mean, Clemson's can as well, but Miami's defense just feels much better in sync. Maybe they're not better athletes than what
Yeah.
Clemson has, but feels like they're always in sync. They're always looking to score no matter what,
Yeah.
even on defense. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I'm seeing like a 24-17 game, but I don't know who's going to score that one touchdown to put them ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I trust Clemson to do it more than I trust Miami to do it. I mean,
Yep.
but I don't know. I mean, Mark Richt, he's good offensive mind there. Rozier did not look very good in this game. At his last game, they kind of shut the running game down there, and Rozier tried to win it with his arm, and he had some good plays. Don't get me wrong with his arm, but I don't think he's really at the level where if he's got to just drop back, in the shotgun and sling it to try to win the game, I don't think he can do that for you. So, and I think Clemson, like I said, I think Clemson's going to look totally different in this game. They've looked kind of flat at times, had some slow starts maybe, but they did this last year as well.
Yeah.
And once they got into the championship game and then going to the playoffs, they look totally different. And I think that's what you're going to see from Clemson this weekend.
Okay. Then we got the Big Ten championship.
Yes.
That's between
Wisconsin
and Ohio State.
Yeah. I think, it's going to be really hard for Ohio State to get into the playoff. They'd have to blow out Wisconsin, and then they need some teams to lose.
Yeah.
And then I think if Wisconsin wins this game, I think Wisconsin's in.
When we thought this last year, we actually thought this in the first college football playoff. I think Ohio State was ranked number 8 or 7, somewhere around there. And they ended up beating Miami 59. No, Wisconsin 59-0.
Yeah, I think Wisconsin's better on offense this year.
Yeah.
I think they're a lot better on offense this year. I think their defense might even be better than last year. I mean, their defense was really good last year. I think they might have a little bit more speed this year on defense. I don't know. It could be. I don't know why I noticed that. It just seems like that to me when I watch them. But I think this Wisconsin team this year is different. So I don't know. I think Wisconsin is going to win. It wouldn't surprise me if Ohio State wins, but I think the Big Ten's best chance to get into the playoff is a Wisconsin victory.
Interesting. I don't know. I just don't trust Wisconsin. I mean, that game, when it was 59-0, it was with Melvin Gordon as a star player.
Yeah.
And this time their star player is Jonathan Taylor, freshman. So I don't know. I just can't trust a freshman to.
Wouldn't that be cool though?
Yeah, it would be cool.
Wisconsin in the playoff.
Yeah.
I mean,
because
that'd be really.
They're always like consistently good.
Right. Especially like the past. Really, I mean, God, they've been like the past 7 or 8 years. They've been pretty good. It seems like every year.
Yeah.
They were good with Brett Bielema, and they've been good even since he left pretty much. So I think that'd be really cool to see Wisconsin to make the playoff.
Yeah. Yeah, but here I got Ohio State winning 30-14.
30-14.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Wisconsin pulls this one off 21-20.
Okay.
21-20.
Do you think we see Dwayne Haskins in there?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I guess it depends on how significant the injury that um, that
Barrett.
he has. Yeah, Barrett, that JT Barrett has. I mean, I think he's shown, Haskins, that he can win a football game for you. I mean, he's the future there.
Yeah.
So Florida State's shown, or no, not Florida State, Ohio State's shown before that they can win with other quarterbacks. So
Yeah, that
I
is
don't
true.
know. We'll see.
And then we have the Big 12 championship game. This one's TCU, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, this is Big 12. Their only chance to get into the playoff is Oklahoma victory. If TCU wins, the Big 12 is out again.
Yeah.
So Big 12 is going to be rooting, I think, for Oklahoma to win this game. And I think, and we talk about, the SEC championship game and Auburn beating the same team twice, and we don't really talk about that with Oklahoma and TCU. Some people look at Oklahoma and think, oh, I think Oklahoma's going to win this game. They're ranked higher. They're on fire. They've already beat TCU. But to beat the same team twice is hard, and especially a Gary Patterson coach team. If you've asked me, I think it's going to be a really good game, and it's not going to be an easy one for Oklahoma.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see it being easy, but I still do see Oklahoma winning. I mean, TCU's defense has gotten better since then.
Yeah.
They've only allowed 3 points in the second quarter, in the second half, in the last 5 weeks, and I think those 3 points were just to Baylor.
Yeah.
So I think the defense will come out to play, but I just don't know about that offense.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, Danny.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on a limb here, man. I'm going to call it right now. TCU wins this game and upsets Oklahoma and wins the Big 12 championship.
How much?
TCU wins it.
What's the spread? What's the score?
35-31 TCU.
All right. I'm going to say Oklahoma 35-27.
And you're probably right. But I don't know, man. College football is crazy. It's wild. And TCU is good. And they have Gary Patterson. And I don't know. College football is crazy. So sometimes when I'm making these picks, I just go crazy and it happens.
Yeah.
And I just feel like this is one of those games where it can happen. There's a legitimate chance that it can happen. And I don't know. Oklahoma, is the favorite. Should win this game. But I don't know. I just got this gut feeling that TCU is going to pull it off, and the Big 12 is going to be shut out of the playoff again.
Yeah. The one time they have a championship game.
Yeah, I know, right? The one year they have the championship game, so it gets them into the playoff, and it's the first year it's going to hurt them.
Yeah.
But I think that if they didn't have the game, so let's look at that real quick.
Yeah.
So imagine the Big 12 doesn't have the championship game, right?
Yeah.
You've got a one-loss Oklahoma team sitting at home on championship weekend, and a one-loss Alabama sitting at home on championship weekend. Who's getting in? Alabama.
Really?
You know what I mean?
I take Oklahoma.
I would too. To be honest with you, I would too. But I mean, look at Oklahoma's resume right now already. And I know they are ranked over Alabama currently, but I honestly think that if they didn't have the Big 12 championship game and Oklahoma was sitting at home this coming up weekend and Alabama was sitting at home this coming up weekend, they would convince themselves, especially with all the SEC and Southern bias that's in that committee right now, they would find a way to put Alabama in over Oklahoma. I just know they would. I just feel like regardless, if they didn't have the championship game, I don't know, and I could be wrong, but I think Oklahoma would get snubbed out somehow. Or the Big 12. Not even really a thing against Oklahoma, but the Big 12. would get snubbed out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just kind of my thoughts on it.
Yeah. But in your prediction does have like a little bit of weight on it because Oklahoma's defense is kind of,
Suspect, right?
yeah, it has holes in it. I mean, they've been playing better, but yeah.
TCU definitely has the better defense.
Yeah. Here's another prediction for you. If TCU wins, is it Mark or Mike? Stoops is getting fired for sure.
Oh, the defensive coordinator?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If they lose, I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it if that happens.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then on now we got the Pac-12 championship game, which I think, in a way, I think is irrelevant. I think, I mean, obviously Stanford has 3 losses, USC has 2 losses, but I think even if USC wins this game by a lot, Pac-12 is not getting in the playoff.
Yeah. Yeah. They all have weak schedules.
It's going to be a good game, though.
Yeah. I mean, it was USC that won this early in the season, right?
Yes. Yes.
And it was by a lot, I think. But this time they have different quarterbacks. Stanford does. So
Yeah, they're playing better on offense for sure. They're even playing better on defense. Really. And like I've even said before, Stanford's one of them teams to where if they show up, they can beat anybody. But just they've had a few hiccups in some games and didn't show up for a couple of games. But Stanford's a really good team. I think they're better than their record says they are. It's going to be a really good game. It's going to be a close game. And honestly, I would not doubt it if Stanford, wins this game. Sam Darnold could turn the ball over. But Sam Darnold has gotten better at protecting the football. So this is going to be for bragging rights in the state. Even though it might not be for a playoff spot, there's definitely a lot to play for. Recruiting, in-state competition and whatnot. So definitely a lot to play for. And, to be a champion in your conference.
yeah. Who do you have winning? I don't really have much to say on it.
I got Stanford winning.
Why?
I got Stanford winning 27-21.
Okay. Yeah. I'll say Stanford 27-17.
Okay, good deal.
Yeah. And then we have another G5 school, G5 championship. This one's undefeated UCF versus Memphis.
Yeah, this one's going to be a high-scoring one, I think, for sure. Definitely
Yeah.
going to be a lot of offense.
Yeah. Riley Ferguson, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the nation. I think he's like projected as day 3 pick maybe. Yeah, I don't see any reason why UCF would lose this game, but at the same time,
Memphis is pretty good too,
Yeah, they beat them earlier by a lot. I think it was like a 7-point win, or the UCF put 70 points on them.
Yeah.
So kind of shows that Memphis doesn't have defense to compete. Oh no,
Yeah.
It was UCF's put. Can't find it. But yeah, I still think UCF pulls this one off. Oh, they put 40 points on.
I do too.
40-13.
I think UCF.
That was the first time around.
What was your score?
It was 40-13. That was the first time around they played.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think UCF pulls this one off too. It's hard to beat the same team twice. I'll say it again. It's really hard, but I think UCF pulls this one off. I think Memphis does score more points in this game. I say it's pretty close. Both teams score, in the 40s probably. I wouldn't doubt it. A 40, 48, 40, 48, 44, somewhere in there. Going to be a fun game to watch, definitely. But I think UCF's going to pull it off.
Okay. Yeah, This UCF team is really good. I feel like, just coming off a good win where they made no mistakes at all. Except, just allowing touchdowns. But, I mean, you're going to allow touchdowns to South Florida's Charlie Strong. Yeah, I see them winning this one, maybe 47-35.
Okay. And if they win, I think they'll get into a good bowl game. Good bowl game. One of the big ones. I think so.
They're definitely going into like let's see, so right now it's the Sugar Bowl and the Rose Bowl that are gonna be left out. So the rest of them, hmm,
The January 6th, or
yeah,
no, the
the one that's always
that
after New
weekend.
Year's, yeah,
Yeah. So that's definitely what they're playing for. So it's going to be a good game. And then we had our UNT, North Texas, playing FAU for the conference championship game.
yeah. I hope personally just because it's Lane Kiffin coaching the Owls.
Yeah.
I want to see the Mean Green pull it off, but I don't know. What have you seen out of them so far?
I don't know. I think FAU is going to pull this off. I mean, Florida has a lot of in-state talent, and but there's not as many Florida schools to pick off from that talent as there is Texas schools to pull off from the Texas talent. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. I mean, I think it's a pretty good game, but I think FAU. I think, unfortunately, I hope UNT wins. I'm going to be rooting for them, and I'm going to watch that game. But I think FAU is gonna pull this one off.
yeah. I'm just gonna predict just for good luck for UNT, 49-0.
And I'm going to pick against them for good luck because when it comes to these games like this, the ones that I pick lose. So I'm going to go pick FAU, hoping that they lose.
Okay.
So I think that pretty much wraps it up. You know, we've reviewed this past weekend of football. We've covered all our Texas teams. We covered the big national games. You know, we talked about the coaching carousel that's been going on, which has been pretty wild. And then, you know, we previewed championship weekend, which is going to be huge, and previewed the Texas schools that are still left in it.
Yeah.
And a lot to talk about in this episode, definitely. So much to talk about. And really, there's still a lot to talk about. There's going to be news coming out for new hires, you know, coaches moving around. You know, there's going to be a lot of our local Texas schools. You know, there's transfers and graduate transfers, and recruiting is going to be getting hot, especially with the early signing period this year.
Yeah.
You know, we got the December signing period going on, so a lot of Texas schools and a lot of colleges right now are hot on the recruiting trail. So, going to be a lot to talk about, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Even next week, just anything can happen. Coaching.
Yeah,
You never know.
definitely. So, in our next episode, going to be really excited. We'll cover championship weekend, and we'll cover some more news, you know, of what happens in the coaching world, and you know, we'll definitely get into, you know, my favorite school. I'm a Longhorns fan, so we'll definitely talk about the future of the Longhorns. You know, what's going to happen, what's recruiting look like, and what it looks like for their upcoming bowl. So definitely going to be a lot to talk about, and I'm excited for championship weekend. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Please like the video, share it with your friends, show us some love, and we'll be back for another episode here pretty soon.